All right. So today is day 7, and I have to say that so far it's been a really good experience doing this. Um, you know, it's a struggle every single day to try to hold myself accountable, be realistic. It's really hard to really just pay attention to the things that I've been neglecting for quite some time now. So today I weighed in at 302.4 pounds. I'm happy with that, but it's also got me to realize that, I've really fallen off in a lot of different ways that all seem to compound into where I'm at today. When you don't take care of your hydration, you don't take care of your sleep, you don't, you're sedentary all the time. um, it really starts to weigh on you in ways that you don't even understand until you're sick. And, I really feel like I'm at that point where I'm sick. I feel sick. And whether I'm sick or not, I feel that way. My mental health is poor. Um, every day seems to be a struggle. And I'm not used to living my life that way. In fact, up until about 5 years ago, I used to feel bulletproof. Nothing could stop me. I never used to think about death. Never used to think about my health being poor. Um, I was usually pretty fit. Even the times that I fell off and kind of gained some weight, I never really thought that I could have a serious condition or have some kind of heart issue or anything like that until my first panic attack. After that, my life just literally shattered into a bunch of pieces, all in one 15-minute time period. I mean, it really shattered the way I think about things, and I've never been the same ever since. And then you throw COVID in there, and 5 years later you get this result. And so it's really been an eye opener how much I've been neglecting myself this long, and I want to get it back. I used to be a person who used to take my personal development really seriously, um, and I kind of strayed away from that. So this video is going to be talking about how I'm going to get it back. And first thing is just, again, just doing what I just did, is just being honest and holding myself accountable, and not really properly taking care of myself, just doing maybe the bare minimum. Um, I know there's worse people than me. I know that there's people doing way better than me. So I'm not going to be hard on myself in that way. I'm not trying to shame anybody who's neglecting themselves worse than me, but this is the wake up call. This is where we decide that enough is enough and we're going to do something. On day 1, that's kind of what it was. That first video, I stepped away from my desk at work and I just made the commitment right then and there that this is the day that I'm going to change my life. Um, and I know I'm going to fall at some point. I know I'm going to have some hard times on this journey, but we have to make the decision to go ahead and make the change. So today I was going through YouTube like I usually do, try to find something motivational, something inspiring, something to I can learn from when I'm not, you know, um, scrolling through things or whatever. So I was watching. I like to listen to things while I work. So I was looking for YouTube videos and I came across a content creator that I had watched back in 2021, 2022, I'd say. And he really likes to push home, self improvement. And I wasn't coming across his videos because that's how his term that he uses is self improvement. A lot of times when I watch content or something like that, like Jim Rohn, it'll be personal development is what I typically look at. And there's a lot of crossover, of course, self improvement, personal development. A lot of it's the same thing, but to me, self improvement is more your habits and what you do on a day to day basis that compounds. So basically, my health not being good, my weight being really high, I'm discovering that all those things are compounding into one illness. Maybe it's lazy, apathy, whatever we want to call it. Um, those habits, if they were good, if I created a whole bunch of good habits, it would compound into a good life. Everything would trickle in onto each other. So if you have poor eating habits, you feel like crap after you're done eating. That's going to trickle down to your sleep. You sleep poorly. You wake up the next day. You have to take a bunch of caffeine to feel good to make it through the day. You get halfway through your day, you crash, you eat poorly again, and then you repeat that cycle. So a lot of it's just being honest with yourself of what we're actually doing on a day-to-day basis, and that's what I'm doing in my life right now. Is I'm trying to take an inventory of what's going on in my life, how can I make it better, and I'm going to do it through self-improvement, and that's really what I want this channel to be about, is really showing how I'm the experiment. I'm the one that's going to be posting my journey as I go along. So hopefully people see that it does work. It's worked for me in the past, so it's not something I'm completely ignorant of. It's not like I've never done this before. So I know it works, and I know it's worked for me. I'm just going to film it this time. So I am 40 years old. I turned 41 in February. So it'll be cool to see that, even though I'm 40, kind of that 40 plus, as it's become more difficult in my life to lose the weight. Like I've said before, I've been able to lose weight fairly easily up until now. So it's going to be really exciting for me to prove to myself that I can do these things, and really be able to document it as I go along. So basically, the things that I'm going to start out with is getting back to the basics. Worrying about my sleep, worrying about my hydration, worrying about cleaning up after myself. Cleaning up my room more. Just doing these things that sometimes we take for granted, and we tend to neglect. Not because we don't want to, but just maybe because I'm burnt out. Maybe I'm just tired, and that's from the other habits that I've created in my life. I wasn't like that before. So something happened, right? It's the way I was taking care of myself in different aspects of my life. So getting back to the basics and just, taking care of myself, my environment, making myself proud of myself again. That's really what it is. And, that comes down to what your minimum standards are. If, some people, successful people, or even just mediocre people, some of them have the standard that if they go below that, they get upset. It affects them to the point where they have to fix it. And what have I been doing? I've been dropping below the standard that I've been holding for myself, but I'll say I'll do it tomorrow. I used to read a lot. I don't do that. That was a standard that I had, is to read. Another standard that I had for myself is I always had to have my room clean. I always had to have things vacuumed. I always had to have things very neat and orderly. And I've let that standard at times drop. The other thing is with the way I dress, and I know part of that is that I've gained some weight, and it's a real struggle to find things that I feel comfortable in. But I've let that standard drop. So now I have to basically go from the ground up. And to do that, I have to, one, acknowledge where I've made the mistakes. I have to course correct to make the changes to improve, and also, feel good again. So, and once you do that, once I do that, the best part is I can rebuild that trust that I have for myself, that I've had in the past. I had a belief that I was able to do what I needed to do at any given time. And with the increase in anxiety and depression and the health issues, sometimes I have this big doubt. So I really need to get back to a time where I believe in myself again. I have that trust and build that trust within myself. And, that's going to take time, but that's part of the journey. The other thing I'm going to do is kind of use it as a progressive overload um, type method where I'm going to start small and I'm going to build up um, to bigger goals and bigger standards for myself. So right now, my normal behavior would be to, with the diet, would be to cut out all carbs, or change the way my diet is to where I'm hardly eating 1,200 calories, or doing it to where I'm only doing carnivore, which there's nothing wrong with carnivore, but at the same time, it's a drastic change if you're going from eating like crap, and then you're going to a carnivore diet. Some people, it's easy for them to adapt. They feel a lot better after a short amount of time, and they're back on it. But I have to be honest with myself. Everyone's different. So that would be my normal thing. So using a progressive overload, it's a lot like weightlifting. If 10-pound weight is too heavy for you, what do? What's a smart thing to do? You don't just give up. You just go to a lower weight. You know, I'm actually stealing that from somebody on YouTube, but it really, when they said that, it really sunk in. Like if 10 pounds is too much, lift 5 pounds. If walking a half hour on the treadmill will destroy me and make it to where I don't want to do anything the next day, um, go for 10 minutes, go for 15, split that in half, do what you can. And as you can, you build up more into it. So once you do that, and once you get into a good rhythm, you can create a system, create a solid plan. It's always good to have goals. Definitely write down your goals, what you want to achieve, and everything like that. But once you get a good baseline, and you understand what you can and cannot do, you could be realistic and really set out a good plan for yourself. And that's what I plan on doing, is just doing what I can for now, really focusing on the diet still, not really steering away from that. I want to get a good solid 30 days under my belt before I get, too overwhelmed and start adding other things. But this is just something that I'm planning for the future. So that's it for now. Not really much more I have to say. Just wanted to check in and you know give everyone a good example and a good idea of what I have planned for the future. I have the tiles coming in. The backdrop for the videos are going to get better, so I got some better lighting coming in and some tiles. I also um, plan on reformatting the videos and doing different long form content more like this. Hopefully, a little bit more structured though, and not so much of a talking head piece like this, but actually having a plan and very specific ideas for specific videos. So if you happen to have any kind of ideas or anything that you might want to ask or anything like that, feel more, I would feel honored to talk about those things. So that's it for now, and come back and check out my journey.